All right, welcome everybody to another edition of the Illinois Green Party series. I'm your host, David Rych. Got a very, very special guest on tonight. I'm very excited about this for a multitude of different reasons, and we're going to go over those in a second here. This is Jasmine Sherman. She's a Green Party candidate for president. Hi, Jasmine. How are you?
I'm great. And just for anybody listening, I use they, them pronouns. So as I Greens across the country, I always feel like a broken record. They, them pronouns.
Okay. I will make every effort to do that. Please correct me if I miss. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. I don't think anybody does it maliciously, right? It happens.
No. It's a matter of habit, really. I mean,
Of course.
we gotta recondition ourselves. That's
I walk
a
like
process of change.
look like a duck. I just happen to not be a duck. It happens.
I've been called worse things than a duck before, so it's okay.
I am so excited to be here. I was nervous. Like I really wanted to give people an opportunity because I talked to a lot of different people, and it's really different in person because in person people don't go, well, I really just don't know anything about you, right? They just start building that relationship. And I feel like a lot of Greens haven't gotten an opportunity to get to know me because of various barriers to entry. But I'm here today to say, hi, I'd love to talk to you.
Good. No, this is good. And this is why I wanted to reach out to you and have you on the show. Obviously, you're, as a presidential candidate for the party that this show is dedicated to. I thought it was important to have you on and just talk about some platform positions and other things with you so that Green Party members and others who watch the show, I have non-Green Party friends who watch the show, could get a chance to know who you are and what you're about, because, something that you should do before voting for somebody, right?
Agree. And I would encourage not just Green Party. Like I'm trying to explain to people the way that we get where we're going is going to require coalition building. It is going to require us reaching out across not the aisle, but to other third parties that have ballot access so we can build 50. And that's what I'm so glad my team has been able to do.
All right, good. So we got, just so everybody knows who's watching, on the right, there's a comments section. You can type in questions, comments, concerns, whatever you'd like to. I just ask that you kind of keep it like, civil, polite, and not, even if you're challenging something that Jasmine or I said, that's absolutely acceptable and beautiful. I love that. Just don't be rude. Okay, so we got Loud Thinker on saying, I'm here. Nikki Lananda, Nick. Aloha, Jasmine from the North Shore of Maui. Ooh, she's in Maui. Or he's in Maui.
He's in Maui.
Right. He's in Maui. Yeah, I want to be in Maui. All right, well, let's talk about your trek to the Green Party. We each have our story because it's really kind of like a sacred thing. It's a sacred journey, a path working to get to the Green Party. It's not like, well, my family was always Democrat, I'm just going to vote that way. It's not that chalant. It's very conscious, very willful. So how did you become a Green Party member?
So before I was a Green Party, I was a Democrat, right? Like
that's usually how it goes. Sure.
But I started a mutual aid where I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I didn't know the Green Party through the Green Party. I hadn't heard about the North Carolina Green Party. What happened was I run a mutual aid, and people who are citizens in my city were like, this is how I vote, but I want to volunteer with you. And so we built relationships doing mutual aid. And that's why I try to tell Greens country, start working in your community, giving back locally, and like not just when you need a vote, but like all the time. And it was that attracted me to the Greens. So I joined the Green Party. Like I joined it before Hillary was in office, and then I left, right? Because I was like, I wanted to be able to vote for Barack Obama. That was important to me as a Black person.
Sure.
Then when the Democrats lost and all this other stuff happened, like years later, I came back and I was like, well, what can we do? But at the time, this local Green, they weren't doing anything, right? There were opportunities that I think that we were missing. And so I joined again. But I wanted to run for office. And when I contacted people, they were not as helpful. But it's that tenacity. I kept trying to be a Green, kept trying to come back to the Green Party. And I'm glad I'm here. I think one of the questions, like I was answering questions for Utah, and they're like, why did you decide to run for president with the Green Party? And I was like, because I'm a member of the Green Party, like those gotcha. You're a member, you should be able to run.
It's one of the cool things about being a member of the third party is, you have each person has a higher profile amongst all the others, because we don't get lost in the shuffle. It's very important for Green Party members to really attend to other ones in their positions and stuff for the most part. I mean, there's some squibbling here and there, but real quick, I just want to say, loud thinker, it's Gokhan. Yes, I knew that, Gokhan. I know that's you. Thank you for attending. Also from Gokhan, it's first of all, congratulations, and I admire you and your courage, or admire you on your courage. Okay, so we got Kaula Conklin Malik. Assalamu alaikum from Hawaii again. I went to Hawaii. It's beautiful. It's unbelievable. Looking forward to this from Springfield, Illinois. I've thought about running for a potential position as well. Okay, you should. Thank you. There's no active local here. Oh, okay. If you're ever on stage on a debate with Jill Stein, how would the other Greens see you differently? Okay, so we'll kick it off with a question.
So we have contacted the Zavala campaign and the Stein campaign and challenge them to a debate. I don't think that it helps Greens to have to wait until March when we go for the official debate. We should be debating a bunch of times ahead of time so people can hear more perspectives. However, Jill Stein's team, the Zavala campaign, they have not responded to us. So I do think that you should urge them to respond. We are ready to debate at any day. I have been in debates since I've been running for president, and those are available on my YouTube channel if you'd like to see them. But we would love for Jill Stein to respond, and we would love for Mr. Zavala to respond.
That'd be great, and actually, that might be cool. Because you're in different parts of the country, you're more than welcome to have the debate on this show.
We would love to. That would be a
That'd be a wonderful. This would be, I think, a really good spot for it because it's kind of a central hub. So I apologize. I guess Assalamu alaikum is Arabic, not Hawaiian.
Yes, and that's why I said Salaikum Salam. I knew what to say.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's the beauty of diversity.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you learn from it. I really do. I love learning things like that. So I'm not put off that somebody corrects me. No, please do. If I'm not getting it right, tell me, please.
You don't look. Seriously. I love a good correction. That is, the gentleman from Hawaii, he contacted us twice because the first time Hawaii was left off, like the HST was left off of our promotion, and I apologize. And then one of the people got it wrong again, and he wrote back. He's like, "You got the time zone wrong." And so we were like, if you donated to the campaign, we can get more quality staffers so we don't mess up on the time zones. I mean, that's really what it is. We need volunteers. We need donations. It costs $300,000 to be on all 50 states' ballots.
That's nuts. I don't think I've ever even imagined what $300,000 looks like. All right. So Nikki Lananda, it says, hello, Jasmine, being from North Carolina. Have you spoken with Matt Ho, who has also been on this show several times, when he was the Green Party member, who was the Green Party candidate for U.S. Senate in 2022? Do you know Matt?
I do not. We don't all know. North Carolina.
No, we don't. No.
It's a very big place, right?
It is a big place. And I don't know what Matt's up to recently, but yeah, Matt Ho, he's a former Marine who worked on the Capitol in D.C., in some area of which he resigned because of the atrocities committed by American military and American government, and then joined the Green Party and was very outspoken about what he witnessed as both a Marine in Afghanistan and in the Capitol. And he did run for a U.S. Senate. Matt's an amazing human being. I haven't talked to him in a while. I don't know what he's up to, but if you think of it, Matt, H-O-H, Ho, you find him on Facebook or something like that. You guys should probably definitely at least talk.
Okay. What will we talk about?
You talk about whatever you want. I mean, you guys would have no shortage of issues to discuss. Okay, so let's get to your platform positions, and please feel free to keep asking questions for sure. But I want to get through some of these because they being a primary candidate for president for the Green Party, it's something important we know where they stand at. All right, environment and infrastructure policy. Go ahead.
So my environment and infrastructure policy is we need to make everything ADA compliant. We need to be using renewable energy. So under a Sherman presidency, we wouldn't be using fossil fuels. We would be compensating for vehicles that do use fossil fuels to switch them, to convert them to a different type of energy, because we know vehicles function on more than one type of energy. If you don't gas lobby on the road. And so if we go ahead and provide Americans with the opportunity to get their vehicles corrected, upgraded, I don't know the layman's terms, right? So we provide people with a way to do that. That creates more jobs, opportunities for people in the mechanical sector. It creates more clean air for us. And by making things ADA compliant, we would be putting in a rail and giving people who have disabilities access to the entire country. One of
Beautiful.
the things that we have not done with our infrastructure or our environmental plans is we haven't considered how we rehydrate the desert. We haven't considered how we produce, because we could produce food right there, right? We don't have to waste this land. So I feel like one of the things that we have the luxury of is my VP is Indigenous. We plan to give the land back. And so we are going to make sure that we adhere to what their guidelines are in regard to stewardship of the land and how we can repair our environment. But it does require that we make everything ADA compliant and we keep fossil fuels in the ground. That's the start of it.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Fossil fuels is like definitely the main target for getting past all these nasty stuff.
But
Uh,
my favorite was the train. We
so-
build a train that goes, a good, clean train, a fast train that goes from East Coast to West Coast. We can ground a lot of these airplanes and actually start to reduce our carbon footprint, like for real.
oh yeah, absolutely. No, transportation is what that and agriculture is what did it for sure, no doubt. And go kind of get to your question in a second here, but I just want to add, I'm certified in organic farming and I have a certification in permaculture, which is even more extreme than organic. And we went over a lot of this stuff, and I've read stuff. There is one gentleman, and I don't remember exactly where it is. I know it was somewhere in the Middle East, where he just kind of there was a valley that just sort of died because of industrialization, stuff like that. And he went into it with all sorts of organic methods and brought the whole valley back to life. Like it can happen.
You've got to read our agriculture policy. We haven't
Okay.
there yet for the public consumption, but I hope when it is public, you can take a look at it, because we did use that gentleman's research when I was talking
Oh,
about
good.
the desert. That's part of it, right? So
Beautiful.
a lot of the foods that get grown in our hot climate places like California and Florida would do really well in some of our not habitable desert type environments, and it would provide cheaper costs and help us reduce that jump. So like I hope as soon as it's done, we can send it to you. That would be dope.
That'd be great. Absolutely. I'd love to see that. Yeah, I wish I could. This is again, I learned this like 6 years ago in my curriculum. But there's other examples too. I remember this couple, married couple, like went to an orange juice company or somebody that dealt with oranges and like just took all of their peels because the company just usually threw them away, put it like just dumped it in this barren area, went back like 15 years later, and it was this lush like shrubs and forests and everything. They just dumped orange peels.
Like the
Okay, nature knows how to recycle and reuse things. That's what nature does.
why I don't understand. I don't celebrate Christmas. Why people who get real Christmas trees every year don't just plant it back in their front yard.
That's
The
a great
roots,
idea.
like we as people, if we stopped living for the consumption, right, of the goods, we can practice mutual aid. And mutual aid isn't just money, it's education.
Right.
There are some
Yeah.
people
It's
listening to
hugely.
this know you could replant your Christmas tree, right? Like maybe if someone hears that, they could do that going forward. But there's a lot of little things that we could be doing to make our experiences much better
A lot.
immediately.
A lot. I had Sam Tercero on, a friend of mine, last week on the show, and we just went through this book called Earth Talk, and it's all about these little things each individual person can do to make things better for them, like reusing. And reusing is a huge part of that thing. I never heard anybody like really bring up like replanting a Christmas tree. That's a really fantastic idea. They're gorgeous. Who doesn't like a good looking Christmas tree? Yeah, put it back in the soil. It should take. It might not, but it should.
More
Get the right compost in there. Yeah, you're good. Nice.
Yeah. And I think the cool part about being a younger person running for a president is I know people who have these really brilliant ideas
Yeah.
that we don't get to hear,
Right.
because people who are upper echelon or a little older, they're not talking to people with new ideas. They're talking to the established individuals they have. And
They're
so
talking about the money. Whoever
that's
has the money, that's who they're talking to.
correct.
Not the ideas. Money doesn't do anything without ideas, folks. Okay. So the better idea has to come first. Sorry.
The idea I have from my staff was that we should use roads with plate tectonics in it. So like creating energy by driving on it. Right?
Ooh,
And then they were like, and on fact, we looked into it some more for our infrastructure plan. We can do that to the sidewalks. So put sidewalks
really?
everybody's neighborhood, make it a mixed walkable community. And for anybody that wants more details, every policy that I'm going to talk tonight about, there is an audiobook version that reads it to you if you don't have time to read it yourself.
Yeah, put it on your phone in your car or something. Right.
Right. every email that we have sent you guys, and I know a lot of people, some people are getting our emails. I know Chris in PA, he's forwarding our emails that we're sending. I know other people are not forwarding them because they think that they have to screen our information, even though we're a recognized candidate. So I do think if you are someone that's like, how come I don't know enough about Jasmine? How can I learn more about Jasmine? You are able to schedule a meeting directly with me and my team on my website, 30 minutes, as many times as you want. You can bring as many people as you want. It can be private, it can be public. If you want us to come to you, we will do that. We're out here to make sure people know that there are more options, especially if you are someone that cares about the disabled community.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I used to be a case manager for mentally disabled. It was a very, very amazing experience. Real quick, I mean, you can always just type in Jasmine Sherman, Google it, and her name comes up like immediately, her website. But just for the sake of viewers, what is your website address?
JasmineSherman.com, FatSocialist.com, Jasmine Sherman the greenparty.com, FatBlackSocialist.com. He's right. Just type in Jasmine Sherman, Jasmine like the flower, Sherman like the tank. You will find me.
How about this one? We'll start with this one.
That one was
That'll get you there. Sherman like the tank. That's funny. Okay, let's see. I'm getting a deluge of comments and questions here. Okay, hold on a second. Now go ahead and ask a question. I want to make sure. Okay, well, I guess people are going to want to know. We're going to have to contend with this 100%. It's true. So thank you for this question. It's from Loud Thinker Gokhan. Hi, Jasmine. If you were elected president, how would you approach the two major conflicts, one in Ukraine and one in the Middle East, Israel-Gaza conflict? Is your foreign policy look completely aligned with the Green Party USA?
My foreign policy is 100% already posted, so you could read it or have it read to you. But in regard to the Middle East, we would not be sending money to any country. America doesn't have it for anybody else. We will be sending aid in regard to clothes and food. We will not be providing anybody with weapons. I am not trying to be a president that answers for past presidents' bad behavior. What I'm here to do is to stop the bleeding. So we would no longer be giving Israel any money. Anytime somebody wanted that, we would stop that. We would no longer be giving money that isn't for food or clothing to the Ukraine as well. We can't keep providing weapons because we cannot, like, war has a cost, an environmental cost that people are not thinking about. War doesn't just take human lives, it takes future lives. And so
no, absolutely.
Well, no, but like people, like a lot of people are like, there's some people who are torn between Israel and Palestine. And at the end of the day, we don't want occupation anywhere. We don't want to fund ethnic cleansing anywhere. And if America is as broken in debt as everybody says it is, then we need to definitely rein it in. And the first way we rein it in is irresponsible spending, irresponsible military spending, irresponsible foreign aid spending. We have to cut that out.
No, very well said. And you're getting a lot of excuse me, positive feedback on what you're saying. Let's see, here was it Nicholas Thomas, right? Nick Thompson, who's been on the show before. He's a member of the Black Alliance for Peace, BAP, very cool organization. Creating energy by driving on it, brilliant. And he just texted me actually saying that you're very sharp. And he's watching right now, and he's very, very happy with this whole thing. So thanks, Nick, for tuning in. And he's actually coming on the show in February again. We're going to get a update on what's happening with Black Alliance for Peace because they're awesome. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
When he comes back, I want to tune in for that episode because Cop City in Atlanta isn't just staying in Atlanta. It's spread to 4 more cities. And that's what people are trying to tell people. The whole situation with Palestine, the reason it is so hurtful is the things that they're doing in Israel. They did it to Black people in America first. They tested it out on us first, and they're doing it there. Cop City is just another way to continue abusing our citizens with their own tax money.
It's so just evil and disgusting. Like I think so I have a philosophy degree. I'm very big into like ethics, right? Ethics is a branch of philosophy. I spend a lot of time with morality and moral reasoning and that kind of thing. That just the notion of accountability is a big part of it. And like it bothers me so much that like people in government positions think that they're like morally exempt from the behavior that they do just because they're working for the government. And I'm like, no. You're an individual person. You are a rational moral agent and you are accountable for your behavior, period. Okay. You just because you don't get to kill 10,000 children say, oh, well, it's just, that's what happens in war. This is what nations do.
We have laws. It's what nations do. We literally, like, the Hague is opening up to punish these people. And I hope that people really think about this. I hope that Greens listening or Democrats listening acknowledge that you cannot vote for the oppressor to resolve their oppression, right? The US is as responsible as Israel for the atrocities that are happening against
Oh,
Palestine.
100%, absolutely.
There's no way, like,
That's
for people.
part of my point is like, just because, well, we're, they come up with all these like, cockamamie excuses of like, well, we didn't actually drop the bombs. Well, you supplied it, you enabled them,
I mean,
or that kind of thing. Well, we didn't target children. Did you know children were there? Yeah. Did you bomb it anyway? Yeah. Then that's targeting children. I don't know. Like they try to change like the definition of things and stuff like that. That's not targeting. Oh, it very much is. So anyway, before I get too angry, foster care and adoption policy.
I'm gutting it. I was a foster care kid. And
Oh,
if the government had given my parents more money, right? Like this, because they take, when you, like, not to be funny, we pay foster parents. Unless they're doing something because you're related to them, usually it's a stranger taking you into their home and they're compensated. It's not a lot, it's not glorious, but it is something that is paid. If they had taken that money and given it to my parents so they could afford rent, so they could afford more food, I wouldn't have needed to go to foster care.
you really were removed from your family because they didn't have enough money?
So there was also some abuse
Oh,
situation,
okay.
but it wasn't like, so child abuse, like when I was in because this happened in Massachusetts, where I will be on the 20th. I hope to see some of you at the convention. Uh, this happened in Massachusetts. And so there was a lot of abuse cases happening around that time. Like they found people with their kids in cages and stuff like that. So Massachusetts went on like this zero tolerance thing. I was not abused. I got a spanking. I do not believe in corporal punishment,
Right.
but I didn't have an SA situation until I got taken from my parents and put into a foster home. So
Wow.
I do feel like if I had to weigh an ass whooping, or some SA, I would have.
It's okay. You can swear here. No censorship here. So
But
yeah.
but the foster care system, the way it should work, right? So if you are someone that knows about indigenous people, right? What happens is those children were taken and put into non-melanated homes, people who had no indigenous culture, and it erased that culture, or they were put in residential schools. And one of the things that we do with my foster care and adoption plan is we don't let anybody who's not old enough to vote be adopted. That's the first thing. If you love someone, you don't need them to be legally on paper in your family, right? You don't. In regard to, for people who are like, well, what about benefits? We give you universal health care. So you don't have to have them on your insurance to love them. We provide them with free education. So you don't have to worry about that, right? Like, so if you want to adopt Joey, Johnny, or Jessica, you can do that on their 18th birthday. Bring them into the family. It's better than a car. But right now, we take kids from their communities, from their families, and we put them with strangers who don't have the same practices, don't have the same culture, and it hurts that individual. It creates a lot of confusion. If you talk to a lot of transracial adoptees, it causes a lot of problems and harm. So we go for fictive kinship first. Kinship, then fictive kinship, and then on and on. So we try to preserve the family unit because we feel like if we take care of people's basic needs, housing, healthcare, and education, and we give them UBI, then that leaves us to work on the core issues, the core problems about, abuse and things like that. It reduces all of those petty problems immediately.
That's awesome. No, I love that. That's great. So speaking of UBI, let's talk about that because that's a very interesting topic. I don't think a lot of people fully understand what it is. And before we go into this, I want you to know that it has been tried in locals in smaller cities or cities across America and in Canada. And the last time I checked, and
It works.
it's been 100% successful. Where it's like,
Uh-huh.
oh no, the companies are just going to raise prices and it's all going to like sort of equal out. It's a waste of time. Nope.
And here's how
Right.
I want you to know. So we've thought about that with our universal basic income because people don't realize technology is increasing. If we got a robot to do that, why do you need to be at the job all the time, right? As the technology increases, the productivity from humans should also reduce. This concept of you having to work 80 or 40 hours, I get why our grandparents had to do it because there was no robot to shovel. There was no automation to do that stuff. But as we have those things, there should be less requirements on people. More of those profits should be shared. And so if you go to jasminesherman.com, you can review my universal basic income policy. The lowest state that gets anything, everyone over the age of 16 is $2,000, and that's Mississippi because it's the poorest state in the union, and we do it based on what you need to survive in that state. Hawaii does get the most, 4,000 something every
Oh,
month.
really? Wow. Okay, that's great. Yeah, and
Hmm.
just so you know, like, Sarah Palin land, Alaska,
They
all
get,
the residents get like a stipend from the oil sales.
yep.
So this, like, all like anti-socialist. Well, yeah, nonsense. There's so so many false narratives going on in this country.
So I
Like,
do want to clarify something though, real quick though,
sure,
because I am giving you universal basic income, because we would be providing you with housing, healthcare, and education. We will be eliminating Social Security. You're not gonna go broke. You will have a house. You will have health insurance, and you could go back to school. But what eliminating Social Security does, this is not eliminating SSID for people with disabilities. It is only Social Security. It allows younger people to stop paying Social Security through their paychecks. It allows us to
right.
pay for universal basic income through a non lecherous manner. So we have to, because I get a lot of people like, they're going to end Social Security. All fired up. You got a person named Susan. She's always in my shit. She's like, be wrong and loud about it.
I
But
don't think I know who Susan is, but go
be
ahead.
glad. She's terrible. So,
Okay.
um, but they're like, you're going to end Social Security. And I'm like, yes, but finish the thought. I'm going
Yeah,
to end Social Security and replace it with more money in your pocket. It ends a lot of the animus that younger people feel towards older people. A thing people are not thinking about, the older crowd, is that if you don't let me give people free education now, who is going to take care of you when you are old? But we have such anti-intellectualism going on. That's less doctors, that's less nurses, that's less caregivers. As you live longer and longer, your parts need assistance to, like, do things. We have to think about that. And I don't feel like enough people understand that as our population gets older, there need to be trained people to help them.
100%, absolutely. And we're going to get to education here a bit because that is also one of the most important things to me, being an intellectual myself. The importance of education and knowledge and knowing what you're doing and knowing what you're talking about, which you see very little of nowadays. When I watch these interviews, I'm like, okay, so everything, like, out of the 10 things, last 10 things you said, 6 of them are absolutely false. But like, nobody checks it. They're espousing mere opinion instead of like fact or logic or truth. It's very annoying. So yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But I do want to talk about this because I don't think it's talked about enough. And I'm not trying to be just like a male here. But this is very important for the sense of just freedom and again, accountability and that kind of thing. The decriminalization of sex work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so important. And people point to like the atrocities going on within like rings of prostitution and pornography. Well, pornography is legal. And there's no doubt that the industries need to change and that there needs to be more accountability for that. But to like just throw the baby out with the bathwater, to ban the whole thing entirely, make all of it illegal, prostitution, not sex work.
That's that
Pornography
value.
Go ahead, please.
No, I agree with you. That's those Judeo-Christian values,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Like sex work. So I have heard people say sex work is not something someone enters in consensually. But if we gave them universal basic income, you gave them housing, you gave them education, the only people that would be sex workers are people that want to be sex workers.
Right.
We eliminate the exploitation because we don't make it dirty and something hidden. Last I checked, I've been to Vegas. Things are going there not as great as you'd like, but no one is suffering the way a sex worker in Connecticut is suffering. No one
Right.
is suffering the way, and people don't know there's prostitution in Connecticut. There's prostitution everywhere. The thing
Oh,
we
yeah.
need is to say that we want people to be as free as possible,
Right.
few people as possible, and have the most liberating, fulfilled life as possible.
Absolutely.
Because one of the things I know, I got a critique when I was on another interview for um, the younger caucus, and I'm messing up the name. I'm so sorry, guys,
Sure.
but the youth caucus in Ohio. I met with them, and they were like, "There's so many naked people on your Twitter." And I was like, if that's the worst thing you can say about me and my politics is that I'm a nudist and I support other people living their best life, we have to stop tone policing people, and we have to stop policing respectability politics. No matter what you wear, a suit, uh, a, a box, not only is somebody going to talk about you, depending on what color your skin is, you'll end up on a t-shirt at the same time. I want people to be able to live how they want to live. And I feel like I don't want to push puritanical shit because I'm not a Puritan. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, absolutely. It's the puritanical like ideology is just revolting to me. It's like one of the most oppressive ideologies in the history of the planet. You can
it's
get
not.
mad at me all you want. If you're you can, I don't care if you get who gets mad at me. It's ridiculous. I'm actually writing a book on. I'm starting to compile an outline about perhaps some essays or articles or maybe a book on this very thing, and we could talk about it after the show because I don't, it's people. Anyway, sorry.
I just feel we have because like remember I told you most people don't know this, but I had to get signatures in Mississippi. You know where we got them? Strip clubs, strippers vote, strippers
That's
vote
right.
campaign.
And that's another thing that boggles my mind too. Like, like the anti-gay movement or like back in the 80s or whatever. Like, these are citizens who vote, you morons. Like, I mean, just on the political vantage point itself, like why would you go against people? And the numbers of them are growing more and more. If you're not like, shooting yourself in the foot now, you're shooting your, people in the future's foot, if you will, on these issues. And it's just insanity to me. That's why like voting is so powerful to politicians and so important is that, if you don't have people believing something that you don't believe as a politician, you're not going to get elected. So I don't know why you would just do that to yourself.
And it's allowed us to find new voters because people are so worried about most people campaign at churches or schools, but going to strip clubs, going to nightclubs, going to the Waffle House. I don't recommend staying for the fights, but go where real people are, real non-voters. It allowed us to get people registered and to get them interested in politics.
Absolutely. Real quick. So this is an interesting thing to say, and I appreciate it. Kaula Conklin Malik. Oh, yes. As a hijabi, I get hate no matter what I wear. Too modest or not modest enough, there's no winning. That's true. Like whatever you wear, somebody is going to upset somebody and they're going to go after you. Instead of just minding, I have this like kind of like vague general like philosophy of life. Like either I love somebody and therefore I support them, or I tend to mind my own business. Okay. So like, I don't know what's difficult about that.
Minding your business is the most cost-effective time responsible activity. Did you see what you ain't see shit? Just mind your business.
No, it's true. Like I don't like. Why are you getting so upset over this? That has really nothing to do with you at all. Like you could choose to ignore it, and it has no effect on you. That's a measure, by the way, of judging other people. If I choose to ignore this, does it still have an effect on me? Yes or no? Now that needs a little tightening up here and there, but like one of the things about like pollution and climate change is that if I ignore it, it still affects me. So
Exactly.
it does become my business and I get to fight against it. It's not the same thing as like somebody wearing a hijab or dressing scantily.
Or still grocery store. If you see somebody putting something in their pocket at the grocery store, mind your business.
You're right. You don't know if that person is doing it because they need to. Maybe their kids are hungry.
I have prevented more ass whoopings from somebody who was going to be a Karen or I don't know, a Chad. And I'd be like, mind your business, bro. It is not, that fight is not worth it. And of course, I could pay for it at the register if I wanted to, but the store has overinflated their prices, right?
They're stealing from us.
They're stealing from us. You're not going to help that person put food on their table. So mind business. The other thing I would say is for people who are worried about theft and crime, you should vote for a Sherman presidency because I think that we should nationalize Amazon. Amazon owns Whole Foods. I would be able to deliver organic food to the American public at no cost.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
I mean, like, so the way that my presidency is going to work, I'm going to use all the FDR tricks at my disposal to serve the American public. We do it for corporations at a moment's notice. And for people who are like, you won't get it through the Senate or the Congress, I don't need to go through them. I will do what FDR did. I'll do what Joe Biden is doing to provide for that wall he's building when he waived 26 laws and the weapons he just sent without Congress or the Senate.
Executive orders. You could do just about anything. Like I don't think people. I mean, not everything, but I mean, it's a lot.
People go, well, they're not going to let you do that. I have a plan. We have a strategic plan, and the Congress and the Senate are going to be suing us to undo the executive orders that impact them. For example, we won't be allowing lobbying. If you have been a politician,
fabulous.
office, you can't be a lobbyist.
Good.
If you are a politician, you can't own any commodities in a Sherman presidency. If you are a politician, you don't get that salary every year. You get an hourly wage, and you only get it when you're on the floor working.
That's very interesting. That harkens me back again to philosophically to Plato and his Republic, which was not all it's cracked out to be, but it set a lot of precedents for the future. And like, if you're a public politician, a public servant, uh, you get a stipend. You're not allowed to make an income. Like you're not fully isolated from anybody, but you're not allowed to like. Your first job is to serve the public. I don't know how to put it. I'd have to relook it up. But like I
I
remember the stipend part. Like you don't get like this like exorbitant like salary, like
Or
230.
$40,000 every time you're reelected for new furniture. If you're not fat and that furniture is not from, it shouldn't be breaking in a term. I'm
That's
sorry.
funny. You have to like put things in your office from like Goodwill, and that's the only thing you can do. Okay, so we got some more comments here. So prostitution is illegal in Clark County. All right, hold on. I'm losing stuff here. Prostitution is illegal in Clark County, which includes Las Vegas, and Washoe County, which includes Reno. Yeah, it's illegal. It's legal outside of Vegas.
It's grandfathered in. Like that's almost
Oh, okay.
that's disingenuous. Like the Bunny Ranch is literally in the Vegas area. I apologize if I've got the wrong county, but this is
Right.
the stuff. Like we know that sex work takes place in the Vegas area.
Right. Right.
Why be up in arms about that?
Right. Okay, and then let's see what else. So, Kaula Conklin Malik who also wants you to sign her up for your vice president. And at times executive orders get blocked from the courts. That's true. Yeah, it's not 100%, but it's astonishing what they can do.
So
it's
what
more like by precedent and reputation that they tend to not do it too much. Because
But I want to challenge that person. It's only challenged in the court if they sue me, which is exactly what I acknowledged when I said it. I said that they would be suing me over things that pertain to them. They're not going to sue me over housing because I obviously got elected to give people housing, but they are going to sue for the things that they think are important. Totally. And even then, if you overwhelm the courts, lawsuits take time, and we are doing executive orders. We plan to make them very, very busy people for one.
Cool. All right. Cool. Well, let's talk. Do you have a VP candidate in mind?
So Tanda Blue Bear is my VP.
Say that again. Tanda who?
Tanda Blue Bear.
Oh, Blue Bear. Oh, that's cute. That's a cute name. Tanda Blue Bear.
She's indigenous. That's her name.
Like, oh, that's great. No, it's a great name. I love it. Yeah. Okay, and tell us about her.
There's no E on the blue, just BLU Bear.
Gotcha.
Yep. They have been working in Minnesota for that camp that was it was recently evacuated on January 4th, but they have been an activist like taking over the city council areas and like feeding those people and really just working with that indigenous group on the ground. So it's been really cool.
That'd be really good.
I hope I can get her on this show. How does that work?
Please.
Could she come on because
absolutely?
Oh yeah, that would be great. You'll have fun with them.
I would love it. You two can come on together if you want, or if it's just her, that's fine too. That'd be fantastic. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? We talked about tax policy.
It's posted, and we eliminate property tax. I think property. Oh my gosh. And here's the best part about that. By eliminating property tax, I can fund the education system federally. So that means Florida can't put certain things in textbooks about slaves benefiting from slavery. Like by doing, and for people who are like, they're just going to refuse, the way the package will work under a Sherman administration is you don't get to pick and choose which funds you accept. You will either take the whole football or you will take none of the football.
Interesting. Okay.
And here's what we will do. We'll use that money that you don't want to give to evacuate the citizens that want to live in a conducive environment. We don't have to go down with this sinking ship. We have options. It's just that people have never wanted to use them.
Right. 100%. Absolutely. You talked a bit about universal health care. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. My universal healthcare plan includes dental and vision, prescription coverage, and holistic care. Doulas, cancer is covered under my holistic care. I mean, like, we want to make sure that you can get the care that you need without a middleman. How often is it your doctor goes, you need a appendectomy? I don't think you really do, but you get what I'm saying? Your doctor says things, and the insurance guy goes, nah, you don't need that. My uncle had a club foot, he was fine. Give him a glass of water, crust of bread. We need to remove the unlicensed practice of medicine.
I
Insurance
agree.
need to go away. So in my universal healthcare plan, we nationalize insurance companies as well.
That's very interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, that was it. Like the problems that other countries have is you got private practice, public practice. Fuck that. If you want to treat medicine in the United States, you will treat everybody.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And like, and by the way, just so everybody doesn't start like freaking out and grabbing their guns, um, universal health care does not, it can come in a multitude of different forms. I want to like just point to Canada real quick because Canada, by according to the WHO, ranks almost always ranks number one yearly for like the best healthcare system in the world, and it has a socialized system. But what it does is like it's what you said, and that's why I'm saying because it reminded me of that. Is they got rid of the insurance companies, and basically the government exists as you pay for healthcare through your income tax. It's one way, and there's a multitude of other ways of doing it, by the way. But like they just so like when a doctor treats you, they just bill the government pays it from this general fund that they have. But the clinics and the hospitals are still privately owned. In Norway, for example, like you can have a privately owned healthcare, whatever, whether it be clinic or hospital, but it has to be nonprofit. Like things like so, there's a multitude of different ways of going about it, other than some sort of like as like the right would say, tyrannical, authoritarian, commandeering of the healthcare system by like one centralized authority. It's
But
not really. Go ahead.
we do. I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to lie to anybody. We do change it and make it an authoritarian. We're going to
Oh,
treat everyone.
okay.
I don't want to lie because we need to put safe use centers in every zip code. We have a
Mhm.
drug problem in America. It's not cannabis. It's not, you know what I'm saying? But we
Mhm.
have a pill problem, right? We have a needle problem. And
Mhm.
so to do that, we need to put safe use centers in every zip code. We need to put actual hospitals and facilities in every zip code. Dentists need to be located in the hospital. I don't know how many times people have gone to get a toothache at the hospital because they can't afford the dentist, right? Like we have ways to fix this. When I moved to South Korea, day one off the plane, they take you to the hospital. You get a physical, your eyes checked, your mouth checked. Like you see everybody before they let you be amongst the regular citizens. And we should be able to do that right here. We have the money for it. We have enough
Oh,
medical.
that's for sure.
We don't have enough citizens ready to say that this is something that is a non-negotiable, and we don't have presidential candidates talking about it. We have a lot of people running to be Democrat light. We have a lot of people running to be Republican light. We do not have people saying, I am a different candidate trying to provide America with a very different future.
Okay, well said. Real quick, property taxes is what pays education in 49 of the 50 states. That is true. But
They
here's, go ahead.
Now I was gonna say they should read my tax plan because we do explain how that is done. We do switch it, and it is very detailed and it's very boring. But we essentially go from a Hayek model to a Keynesian model, but for businesses instead and for people. We switch them.
Okay, very interesting. Keynesian model, like if that's an aggregate system, I'm assuming that's what you're referring to.
Yeah,
Um,
so they were actually like money people, like philosophers about money. So there's Hayek who's like, we don't spend nothing. Kind of like how Americans need to pull themselves up from the bootstraps. But Keynes was like, spend it, like the bailout. Give them the bailout, give them the stimulus, right? We
mhm.
do that for companies every day. We don't do it for people. Instead of bailing out the automotive industry, we should have bailed out the citizens. And so we switch it. And I know the person who's like, I didn't read it. So for anybody who's like, well, how are you going to do that? Please read my tax policy because clearly I'm running time on this show, but it is there for you to read and not to make assumptions about how things work clearly because we know how education is funded. And I said, we're going to stop funding education through property tax so we can fund it federally to dictate how that works. I don't know if you missed it, but that's in
No,
there.
no, I heard you. Yeah, and also I want to know one of the major issues with property taxes funding local education is a couple of things. Um, Well,
And
the main thing is that, like, if you have a poorer area, you have poorer education.
correct.
And this happens in this area over here. Like, let's say you have like where I grew up, Mundelein, Illinois, and it's a lot. richer now than it was when I was growing up, got far less money than you could tell than like Libertyville or Stevenson did, the two richer areas, because the property taxes were not allocated fairly or justly. They were allocated merely to the local area schools. And that's a huge problem. You have massive like socio-political economic deprivation going on in areas because their education system is awful, because they don't have the money to fund it, and nobody in their neighboring towns are going to share theirs. So you really need to generalize that more so it's allocated fairly.
And
How much money per student per year? That's what you need to do, and each student gets,
but we
I mean,
also
there might be local differences as far as transportation and stuff like that. But yeah, go ahead.
pay teachers. Like that's
Yep.
the I need good quality educators. You know,
Yep.
shit, captain, my captain, like good educators. I had a teacher that changed my whole course. Like I was in 7th grade trying to sell drugs. You know what I'm saying? And a good teacher was like, "This is a book." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You are smart. You don't need to sell drugs. And I was like, "But look, teacher, I got a system." And the teacher was so pissed. How do you you don't record drug deals on a ledger, you know? And I was like, "But how do you money?" You know, so like a good educator can get a kid from a path to drugs to running for president of the United States. But we don't pay enough teachers enough money to want to be in the paint with these students. We don't. And that's the first thing. I want to switch us to a Montessori system, and I want to pay your teachers.
Nice.
I want to make sure that we get rid of trade schools and all of this, all of the education should be in one building. You should be able to be a car mechanic or a white collar job at the same high school. You shouldn't have to do more resources like that. Like we waste facilities segregating people. We create classes.
Interesting. That's a very interesting point. I like that.
A teacher told that's how I that's what
No,
got
that's a good one. That's a very interesting point. I like that. Okay. So how about we got like 14 minutes left. I definitely want to get to my favorite one in a moment here. So, but reparations policy, because this was like a hot issue like a year ago, and I'm like, it's gone. Like I mean, it's not gone. I mean, I don't hear anybody talking about it. Go ahead.
So reparations is covered through we pay reparations to every African American that resides in our borders that is a descendant of chattel slavery. We pay them their reparations in monthly sums. And you have to be over 16 to get it. It's paid out one time in my 4 years. And we cover that cost of the payment through the cannabis sales that come from your universal health care.
Beautiful. All right. Straightforward.
And the other thing that we get that I'm more excited about, because the money comes out to about less than $200,000 per person. What I'm excited about is the fact that we give people their ancestry, not through ancestry.com, but there is an actual in Africa. It's in the labs in Kenya, like actual African DNA. Like I could find out where I'm from. And that is the thing that I want to know.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. Triple bottom line accounting policy. I didn't read that. I don't even know what that is. What is that?
Okay.
You're excited. Okay, good.
You be excited. I'm talking about a lot of expensive things. And Amazon and GM haven't paid taxes in years. What that allows me to do is to go back 36 years and get America's money out of any businesses that have broken the law, violated human rights, damaged the environment. Triple bottom line, because right now companies, when they go on the taxes in Wall Street, they go, our bottom line, this is our bottom number, this is what we spent, this is what we made. But the triple bottom line adds in an environmental cost and a human cost.
Beautiful.
And go back 36 years and get that money because we're allowed to. Why the current people on Capitol Hill are not doing it, I don't know. They have access to the same information we do. But we
I think I can come up with a couple of explanations as to why they don't, but okay.
It's true.
Immigration reform policy, that's going to be hot.
We go right back to the way we were bringing people in through Ellis Island. It took 9 hours. We can do it in less than 3. When you are a diplomat or someone that's spending money in America, we can get you done in an hour. And I say this as someone who has been through the State Department on issues when your passport gets cut up. They can get you verified and cleared in an hour. We can do that for regular people, not just rich people. If it works for them, we can do it for us. Make it, if you want to be here, we want you to be here. If you act up, you got to go. If you have nothing in your background, then come on in. We have work to be done. Like this whole thing about immigration is just, again, it's control and white supremacy.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. No, it's terrible. I don't know why everybody's so freaked out about it. Like, again, it's just a political issue, and they're just sort of feeding us propaganda nonsense. I mean, like, it's America. Like, I mean, it's like, have you seen American history? Like, we're a nation of immigrants. I mean, that's what we are.
Well, not all of us are immigrants. I
Not
mean,
all. No, okay. I'm
black,
oversimplifying, but I mean,
yeah,
right.
but for the most part, a lot of the problems is unmelanated people don't know their history. A lot of people don't know, like, there are people who don't know a white man did not invent the cell phone.
Oh, like so. Oh, absolutely. No, there's 1,000 examples of that. Of like, did you know? Like, I mean, from I'm trying to think of the. Oh, what was it? Never mind. I'll have to think of it later. But yeah, there's thousands of examples of things that white people didn't do. That we think
But
they did.
but right, that's the thing. White people think that like when people think about what a computer is, where computers came from, and then they saw that movie Hidden Figures, and now they're like, "Oh, computer was a black woman?" Like it's just really
The
cool.
NASA movie.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, like who knew that before then? I
But
didn't.
but
I
only like
didn't know
maybe
that.
because my grandma got me a little black people encyclopedia book, so all of the encyclopedias I learned about was what black people did. But I didn't learn that in school. And
Right.
everyone should be able to know what everyone has done. Other countries know about America. America doesn't know about, I don't know about the Irish. I don't know about the English. We only know that America, a tea party, and we love our That's all we know. And we need to be more than that. We can be more than that.
I agree, and that's one of the dangers again, like going back to like education systems and stuff like that in Florida, for example, where they're trying to like just ban talking about certain things. That's crazy. That is so
But if
crazy.
we federally fund education, we can do what we want.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, I'm trying to think. Oh, like, and even so, like, so that's like the positive things that like non-white people have done, and that have been innovations and affecting modern day civilization, like the technology and the computer, the things that you brought up, but like the bad things too that we didn't like. I didn't hear about the Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1919, I believe, massacre until 3 years ago, maybe
That that TV show came out, right?
something like. So I don't remember exactly how I heard it, but I just been like, I was like, what,
Yeah, so you don't know about
what,
Rose?
you know.
Okay, the like people don't understand. Like, so there was a guy on TikTok talking about why do my black patients have somebody on the phone? We have experienced atrocious abuse at the hands of the medical community. There was a study done a couple years ago where they were only studying aggression patterns in youth, but they only asked for black and Hispanic people. No, like
Yeah.
you can't have a study if you don't have everybody
No,
in
it's
it.
pretty biased study there, yeah.
But it, but
So
it right? Like we have to acknowledge, like somebody was asking me, well, how come I haven't seen you in more places? And I have to tell them it's bias, media bias. The same way I have people who are here in the Green Party who don't share my information with their constituents, right? Like that's a problem. We have people who have affixed themselves at the heads of these organizations and they pick and choose which candidates material to send through. So we have to start asking questions. We have to be more critical even of the Green Party. We have to start asking ourselves, does this make sense? How does this work, right?
right.
A big thing that people have had a point of contention about, and this is me trying to be transparent, is that the death penalty is still on my website, and I didn't see a point in taking it off. I know the Green Party does not support the death penalty, but why would I lie to you about who I am? Right? Because if you
Right.
go to my Facebook page, it's open for the public. You'll see that I believe, like, you'll see what all I believe. And then somebody will be like, oh, it's a gotcha moment. You're trying to lie. No. When I run and seek the nomination, I agree to the Green Party's platform. To say that because I have it on my website, I'm non-viable is very pretentious, right? It's very,
Sure.
again, one or two people making decisions for an entire group of people, taking that choice away from them. And so that's something that we have to do better about in the Green Party. There should be nothing that any candidate that's recognized, and I would say before recognition, sends out that you guys shouldn't have access to. There needs to be a more organized way to do that. Like, for example, I missed being on the ballot in North Carolina, even though I turned my signatures in on time, right? I missed out on being on the primary ballot because they didn't verify it in time, right? Not that it wasn't done in time. There was tons of time, but they waited. They waited. And so that hurts us. We cannot wait. We have to be a party that's like, we are here, we are vocal, and we are in your face. All of this being quiet, there should be more talking about us. They have done polls. 60%, I saw one 40 that I would trust. 40% of Americans want a third party.
Oh,
40% of
absolutely. I
how
think it's actually it might be a little bit more, but yeah, you're right.
It is. I mean, it's higher than that, but I want the one I can go to right now. If you're
Sure.
like,
Yeah,
give me a
100%. Yeah. 40% is a safe number for sure.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? We only need 3% of the population, 3.2% of the population to do something, and it's never undone.
Yeah. Isn't that wild how it puts it in perspective? Like, yeah, you're like, that's it, that's all. You're like, yeah, that's it. But a lot of the people not voting third party, even though I think in their conscience they want to, is because they're afraid not enough other people are going to. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of talking yourself out of it. So
But I talk
go
to
ahead.
vote, don't vote. Talk to people who do not participate in voting right now. I love a good voter that's like, I've never voted, but I'll vote for you. Give the people something to vote for and they will show up. The way people turned out in Kentucky over the abortion issue, right? Like we can do more, but we start leading with our chest. We got to start standing on business. We have to start saying things. I go everywhere and I tell people, I want to abolish police to keep you safe. I want to abolish police.
All right. Go ahead. Let
Oh
me.
no,
That's a
that's
perfect segue. Real quick, I just want to read a couple things, and then we're going to talk about my favorite topic and getting rid of police. Kala Malik said the first public university was founded by a Muslim woman. See, I didn't know that.
yes, it was.
Okay, so I didn't know that. That's fantastic. Like our history is so literally and figuratively like whitewashed. Like you, like we've been lied to by so many people in our education system growing up. It's so ridiculous. And omitting information is the same as lying. It doesn't have to be like a blatant, explicit lie, as much as like not telling you things that are relevant to the topic is the same thing as lying. It's absolutely. In a court of law, if you omit information about your guilt or innocence, you're in trouble. That's how it goes, okay? Nikhil Nanda says, Jasmine, I have been a Green for over 30 years, a candidate for federal, state, and county positions, and I do not agree with everything in the GPUS platform. No one has to agree with everything. Good luck. You're absolutely correct. And I've had little, somewhat heated conversations, about things that I've disagreed with. I was asked by Tennille Jackson, I don't know if you know who that is, but she's a high-profile Illinois Green. And when I was on her show, she was like, each show was about one of the 10 platforms. And she had someone ask me if I disagreed with any, and I said yes. And we talked about that for a while. And I don't need to tell you what it was, but because it's not my show right now, it's by you. Yeah, no, I'm like, yeah, this one, I think it sucks. So I think it needs to go. But but go ahead. Okay, so
I support people saying things like that. I do. But James Baldwin said, I don't need to listen to what you say because I see what you do.
Right.
You guys might believe that, but clearly other people do not. And so, in my experience with the Green Party, there are people, maybe not you guys, but there are people who are taking their jobs and they are abusing some power. But we're going to work on that. We're going to keep speaking the truth because 2024 is the year of clarity. It's the year of change.
I like that. That's very cool. The year of clarity. I love that. All right, so let's talk about the police. Go ahead.
We got to get rid of them. We got to abolish
Yes.
So police.
Let's cut to the chase real quick because everybody's going to say, like, what do you mean get rid of police and keep us safe? That doesn't make sense to me. So what are you going to replace them with?
So a task force within your local zip code.
Thank you.
What we will be sending out instead of a weapon and somebody itching to use it, we'll be sending out a social worker and a community task force member, people who live within the zip code, people who already know, your neighbors, how to calm down Phil when he's had too much or tell Susan to chill out when she's too yappy. You know how to do this. Especially if your children around. All I want to do is pay you, the taxpayer who lives in your zip code, to watch your neighborhood. Sweep
100%. There you go. Thank you. That is exactly my position. Absolutely. Local communities get to hire their own people from within their community to protect said community, by which those task people will actually be 100% accountable to the people that employ them. Not this bullshit that we have now. Where like a legislator gets to go like, oh, you have qualified immunity. What the hell is qualified immunity? It means you get to shoot somebody dead and get away with it. That's not acceptable. Okay, you're right. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, police only solve, and this is generous. This is me being generous because I love data. Police only solve 4% of crime.
It's crazy. Well, just think about it. It makes sense because what happens? They show up after the crime has been committed. So they don't protect you in any sort of like practical, explicit way. And also, I want to say this for people who do not know this. 1981, Warren versus DC. 2005, Gonzalez versus Rock City. Colorado, and 2016 concerning the Park Ridge school shooting where children were slaughtered. Okay, each one. The second one was a federal a Supreme Court decision, by the way. Each one said, without exception, by judges, that the police are under no legal obligation to protect anybody
And they
at
don't.
all. This is one of those things I've said to like my local politician friends and lawyers are like, really? I'm like, yeah, really. Okay, so to protect and serve is 100% propaganda bullshit. Go ahead.
No, for anybody that ever talks to me about police, I have one thing to say: Vivaldi. You will never ever convince me that a cop is safer than a mom on any day. I know old girl, she was in handcuffs, scaled the gate, and got her kids out from Vivaldi. That shooting was atrocious, and those cops did nothing to stop it. But the parents went in to save their children, and that's the kind of safety I think we should provide for people.
Right, and that would be a response to Nikolananda. And if they show up at a school, church, shopping mall, and there's a person with an AK-47, what then? First of all, I want to say that general issues, problems require general responses. So, like when you go, like, what about this one thing that happened this one time? Does not necessarily exemplify or illustrate the entire issue. So, however, that's what Jasmine just said. Go ahead.
Their question. So if you have a person, because this is in that policy I keep talking about that you guys can listen to or have like read it or have it read to you. If someone shows up with an AK-47, they're allowed. Federally, you're allowed to walk around because it's your Second Amendment right. Did someone show up and harm someone? Because that's a different conversation. If someone shows up and they open fire, you're going to call a number like you call a number now. The only difference is the National Guard would show up. And they have rules of engagement to keep brown people safe. Like, these gotcha questions would be good if they were good gotcha questions.
Right. And also at the same time, just going back to the task force idea, like you could have people that work in the task force in the malls and in the schools and in the churches or around them, near them, somehow protecting them. It doesn't, getting rid of police does not mean that everybody, like it's chaos and anarchy and everybody's going to get shot dead and die. The numbers should go down.
They would.
Let me give you some other numbers here real quick. We're already over an hour, but like I should have brought this up at like 7:30. Again, going back, I think we talked about before the show, independent studies have shown that 40% of police have admitted to committing domestic abuse. 40%. That's craziness. And again, I think the reason why, because everybody's like, oh, it's such a stressful job. It's not a very stressful job. Most cops are just going to drive around and do nothing.
But think about 40% of the only ones that were honest.
That were honest.
Right.
Some people like don't even think that what they do counted as domestic abuse, so they said no. You know, and because domestic abuse does not merely mean like physical contact; it could be a whole slew of other things too. Let's see what else. So the 40% thing. Since 2015, cops have killed 1,200% more people than all the mass gun shooters have done together. The police kill more people per year than I believe any other country in the world. It's over 1,000, which is about 3 a day. There are tribunals in the UN that have like certain police departments on their list of like people to arrest or whatever their version of arresting is to the UN for human rights violations. And I just want to point this out too. If you're attracted to a profession, you're attracted to it because what it entails, what you will be doing. Becoming a cop is not something you do in a pinch because you need money. It's a profession that you take on as a career, that kind of thing. So you probably have thought about what it means to be a cop and they go, oh yeah, I want to do that, which automatically and necessarily includes being trained to be violent in situations that do not require violence. You're trained to be authoritarian, have complete and total power over anybody in the public. Your job includes shackling people in chains and putting them in cages. And I say that very much on purpose. And I say the following thing: if that imagery harkens you back to another time in American history, it's the same time where the police were actually invented in order to hunt down runaway slaves. That was their first job. Okay. And like you pointed out when we were talking about this before the show, the people that were hunted down back then were protected more so because they were a commodity. The police weren't allowed to like destroy some like a slave owner's property, if you will, because it's all about property and not about people in this country. Where nowadays they can just kick the shit out of you and they get away with it. Go ahead, sir.
So no, wait. So nowadays cops will fare better if they end your life. If they just hurt you, they get in more trouble than if they just end you.
That's a good point too. That's a very good point. Yeah, it's tragic.
So I gotta come back. Like, I was so nervous for this interview. People don't even believe me. I was nervous because I was like, I want to explain myself, and I wasn't sure I was gonna go. I've had such a good time.
Good.
Like
Me too. Thank you so much.
I can talk to you.
Absolutely. We're gonna have you back on because this is important stuff here for sure. And if you can bring your VP back on together, we could talk about stuff too.
What I'm going to be focusing on is getting a debate. We have a Green Party member here who could facilitate an honest and fair debate between all the currently recognized candidates. I don't see why they're not going to do it. But I promise you tomorrow, we will send out another tweet and another invite specifically to you about your show.
Do it,
If
please do. That'd be fabulous. I would love to accommodate that. I think it would be thrilling. I think I would do a pretty decent job as a mediator. I think that'd be a very cool thing. And I'm going to bring this up with my people. I'll have my people talk to your people, that kind of thing. And we'll let's make this happen because I think that's a great idea. And Jill Stein's office, I reached out to her office to ask about coming on the show, like you're here. She responded, or they responded, whoever it was, responded that they had to look into it and like figure out a schedule and that kind of thing. So we're waiting. I don't know. I
so this is the thing that I hope people get through. It's 2024. We have technology. There is no reason a politician cannot be available to you, the person they would serve. Anybody that wants to meet with me or my staff can go to jasminesherman.com and make a 30-minute appointment. Your politician should serve you always.
I 100% agree with you, and it's like, and I'm not going to say that I understand the complexity or simplicity of her schedule, Jill Stein's, but I think what you're saying is true. I've had people like do an interview driving home in their car because you can use your phone.
Yeah.
Like like it's hard for me to swallow that you like literally have no opportunity to do this. I don't buy that for a second. That's what she's saying. But I want to have her on my show. I like Jill Stein. She's great, very intelligent person. I would love to see the two of you talk and discuss the similarities and the disparities between your stances on things. Absolutely.
Did I give you a question to ask her, or is that a low blow?
No, go ahead.
Everybody knows that I started announcing. I was at the convention. Dr. West was running for president, right?
Yeah.
The question I would ask you to ask Jill is why she chose not to be a mentor. Why she chose
to Cornell.
I mean, once Cornell dropped out, there was still another viable Black candidate in this race. Why did she then decide to step in instead of being a mentor for a younger person to take?
Yeah, okay.
I
might ask you to remind me that, depending on when she comes on.
The Bronx Green Party asked me. They were like, "Could you and Jill ever be on a ticket together?" And I was like, "No, I support Black people."
And you think she specifically doesn't?
I think that if you have people are saying younger people need to get into politics. I'm 38.
Oh, I see.
Really hard to get here. And she had an opportunity before she decided to run, after Dr. West left, to say, how can I help you? How can I help make you more successful, right? How can I pass the torch? Because at some point, older leaders need to give the younger people a place in community. And she didn't.
No, I agree. No, the age is actually becoming a big deal nowadays. But with Biden, and I feel more bad for him than I want to, like, you know.
Don't feel bad for him. He supports ethnic cleansing with a smile.
No, I mean, okay. He's an asshole, no doubt. He's not a good person, but you can see him just slipping away.
I feel empathy for him. You don't feel bad.
Right. That's a better idea. Yes, I have empathy for him. I can see him, like, he can barely complete a sentence, and it's just ridiculous. And I really think that if he wins the I don't know. I don't even want to speculate. I'm getting tired of like vapid speculations on things, so I want to stop speculating.
What I say is 2024 is going to be a Black Swan event. For people who want to fact check me, I have been saying that since 2022. That is going to be a Black Swan event. And recently, on the press stage, someone said it's going to be a Black Swan event in DC. So if they're behind me by like 2 years, y'all just fall in. But we definitely.
I love that. And just real quick, what she means by Black Swan events, I don't know if it's a statistical thing, it's a philosophical thing. There's a book called Black Swan, all about this. Basically, it means when the unlikely happens. It comes from this thing from David Hume, a philosopher, about like seeing a bunch of swans. They're all white, so you assume all swans are white. Then you see one of the same exact species, but it's black. Therefore, your proposition, all swans are right, is false. So like that's basically what it means. So it's a very, very cool thing, very important thing too, as far as critical thinking goes. You can call out a lot of people on bullshit if you know what the Black Swan is. So okay,
I'm not Jasmine. No, Vote Sherman in 2024. We can win this. I'm charismatic. I'm young. And not to be funny, you need something that the younger people are going to gravitate towards. And they
Oh,
want
100%.
healthcare. They want housing. They want a clean environment. And any candidate that is not literally telling you how they're going to accomplish this is wasting your time.
There you go. All right, very cool. All right, well, thank you everybody for your comments, questions, concerns. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Jasmine Sherman, thank you so much for coming on the show. Fabulous time talking to you. And yes, we're definitely going to have you back on once, if not more times. Please, reach out to your VP. You have my phone number.
Yes, I will be in touch.
Why don't you, that might be easier. I don't know. It's up to you. That's up to you. But I mean, it's obviously I attend to my phone more than I do my email.
You know who we are. We are on the phones.
We're on the phone.
That's one of the things. So, like, I recommend for people who are not familiar to understand how I'm so quick-witted, get on TikTok. Those TikTok debates, you need a source for everything you say.
You are very witty, and I love that. You are very quick-witted, which is a sign of high intelligence, by the way.
I wish I could buy on these looks, though. Having to work hard it takes a lot of time.
That's right. I'm sure it does. Okay, so Nick Halananda says mahalo. Mahalo is the Hawaiian word. Okay, that's what that's what I was. Never mind.
You
right.
won't.
I'm okay. I'll live. So, all right, everybody, thank you for tuning into the Illinois Green Party series. I'm your host, David Rych. Till next time, be good, be green.
Bye, y'all. Peace.
Hold on a second.